coming up on NLTP PrimeTime. Tonight, everyone has been spearballed. Who overcomes it? Who uses it to their advantage? Who would prefer to never play a game on a Texas server ever again for the rest of their lives? And most importantly, who punches their ticket to the Nuker Ball and the Booper Ball? Hello and welcome back to NLTP Primetime. I'm Chris Birdman, and this slate of semifinal games did not disappoint. Some teams took care of business, some teams pulled off the upset, and we got to witness perhaps the craziest series in NLTP playoff history. We'll get to that. But we start on Sphere, like all the other games this week. Center team versus Radius team across the board. This one features Land Before Timers B team looking to make the Booper Ball for the third season running. On the other side, Probots, fresh off the upset of Over the Pants in round 1 and looking for another. Game 1, it's Market, and Land Before Timers got off the mark first. Steez, nice split out of base. Coming in off the wall and gah! But he's still got a chance and gah! He doesn't cap, but those flashes prevented are costly and Chucky follows up with the first cap. After that cap though, Game 1 became the grindiest, most offensive game of Market I've seen in a while. Both teams held resets for much of the game, but LBT used quick bursts of momentum to build to a 6-0 win. Into Game 2, Land Before Timers with another quick cap to start things off, so it's 1-0 about 2 minutes in. Last week, we saw Ballerina pull a 360-degree boat. This cap by Steez, not really a boat, but he just about gets the full 360 to tuck it home. LBT was all over Probots here, both offenders capped on at least a third of their grabs. Here's another one, to bring the total to 11 courtesy of Chucky. I'm sure he's preparing for Halloween. Final score here, 12-2. Probots at least bringing in a couple of consolation caps, and Land Before Timers up 2-0 in the series. Probots weren't giving up despite getting outscored 18-2 in their first 2 games. Tinderfella coming in early with a cap on Market to give Probots their first lead of the series. And then again, a minute later, watch this, it's the most symmetrical cap you will ever see. Same boost route to grab as he used to cap. LBT seemed to struggle a bit playing from behind, but they were able to tie it up for all of 10 seconds as Cooler reinstates the Probots lead. Now you're not going to see it on Oprah's book club list, but the best read of the night came from K42 Larson here. K42 absolutely dancing around everyone. Let's Whiskey and Cooler establish some blocks and a nice little insurance cap, and we have ourselves a series. Probots carrying the momentum into Game 4. Tinderfella capping here on the minute mark. The Land Before Timers woke up shortly thereafter. A couple quick caps to reverse the deficit. Tinderfella looking to tie it back up now, 2 minutes later. Off the 45 and the lane's not quite there. Steez now on the counter the other way and the lane is there. LBT extends their lead. They continue to extend their lead from there. Another double-digit game for them and a comfortable win in Game 5 gives them a 4-1 win in the series and a berth in the Booper Ball. Steez 16 caps in the series, Darth adds 90 returns, and Land Before Timers moves on to the Booper Ball for the 3rd straight season. They've played 4 seasons now in team history, and they've gotten to at least the Foci 4, and all 4 of them, Mike Dino leading them there in Season 10, and then Season 11 going farther, winning the Booper Ball against Big Black Blocks. Season 12 doing the same with Fender as the captain now versus A-Cap Mob. And then Fender relieved as a captain this season by Tridwin, we all know who's still captaining the team. They're into the Booper Ball again. Can they pull off another win to get the 3-peat? Or will their opponent, who we'll see later, upset them and get a Booper Ball of their own? The other 1 seed, PrimeTime, looking to end the Night's Watch. Night's Watch had a nice little upset last week, spearballing the Dinos, and they'll attempt to do the same here. But Bally's clearly unbothered by the extra ping, showing off the same mechanical skills that he has all season to put on some nice jukes out of base, and then patiently waits to get the cap. Patience was the name of the game for PrimeTime here in Game 1, like on this cap less than a minute later. Time and time again, Osgod and Bally would wait for an opening to bring the flag into base, and eventually Anze and Mo would lock down the base. PrimeTime outlasting the Night's Watch to the tune of a 7-2 victory in Game 1. But if Night's Watch is going to make this a series, they'll do it on Atomic, where they dominated Dinos in the Equidistant 8. 2 shutouts in 3 games for Night's Watch on that map last week, and it looked like they were headed for another one here. 3 minutes left. Game still scoreless. Balls to you coming in. The blocks are there, but no! Anze just strong enough to push onto the flag tile and give Mo enough time to catch up. but Mbogi's also rolling, and he barrels in right after to give Night's Watch the 1-0 lead. Into the last minute now, Night's Watch hanging on to the shutout. Preventer time. Reset after a well-timed kiss. Bali does what Bali does best. It's 1-1, and we're going into overtime. As a reminder, NLTP plays golden cap, so first one to score wins. 3 minutes into the extra period, Bali with a nice kiss. This one is much out of desperation as anything, but it's a great handoff, and Osgod is able to roll in and slide home the cap. Preventer time. Shutout for 9 minutes on Atomic, but they were able to take a 2-0 series lead back to Tetwood Zingo. But the watchers on the ball hung around on Zingo this time. An early cap and an early boat from balls 2 put Night's Watch in front, and they held that lead for about 2/3 of the game. Anze defenders can score when we have to. Kapitar, reluctant to grab with the juke juice, finally does anyway, and it's good that he did because that juke juice helps him roll all the way around the flag and into the cap. Last minute of play now, game tied 3-3. Night's Watch get 2 tag throws and a great scoring opportunity, but there are 3 pups on this map and Osgod has the other, and he makes a game-saving split. Oz clicks the seal 3 times, runs to safety, and we go to overtime again. Another relatively lengthy overtime, but Preventer time applied pressure for the entire game, dominating pups and keeping the Night's Watch on their heels. The wall finally fell 4.5 minutes in. Another win for Preventer time. Another tight loss proved too demoralizing for Night's Watch. They fall apart on Atomic, and Preventer time locks down the sweep. Albeit one of the lengthier sweeps we've seen with about 8 minutes of overtime play. Osgod, the leading capper. Preventer time defense does their thing again. And if you think we had a lot of overtimes in this series, just you wait. But first, let's visit the other A-team game. We already know that Land Before Timer's B team punched their ticket to the final round. Can their A team do the same? In their way is Balzania, who eventually wore down Probots last week to win the 4-5 matchup in the Equidistant 8. Game 1's on market. It's vertical map week for these two, but it's an uncharacteristically defensive start. Chance of the tag pro early for Balzania, but LBT does just enough. Razgriz next to carry the flag here, bouncing around the bottom of the map before pouncing on an LBT misplay and base that opened up the narrowest of lanes. That's the sort of opportunism you need to pull off an upset. Let's jump ahead now, 2 minutes left. Land Before Timer's down 2, but they've picked up 2 tag pros. It's a really good chance, and it never gets off the ground. Balzania adds a late insurance cap, and LBT crashes out of game 1, 4-1. The other vertical map now, Jardo, into the last minute of play. LBT again, finding themselves down, so they're getting a little aggressive off regrab. And Razgriz absolutely undresses the chasers here. It's returned for cap for days, but it doesn't come. No worries, Raz says. He takes a light jog, and then jukes Incognito with the help of some Deadman anti-re to cap anyway. Balzania wins, they're up 2-0, and the upset is looking very real. Game 3, back to market, and Land Before Timers needs a reaction here. And it needs to come from their offense, which led the league in caps this season, but it's been stymied so far this series. With all that said, let's watch AK-47 working some tight spaces. Splits the defense, off the inside triangle, whoop! All the way along the top wall, but Life of Brian comes back and gets just enough of a pull. So if AK-47 can't put it home, what about his partner, Fender, being patient? He's like a quarterback, they're waiting to pick his boost here, and he's going to score a touchdown every time. LBT up by 1. Halfway through the game now, LBT still on top, but buckle up. First, Razgriz peels off the pucks. Returns come, tie game. Ballerina, right on his tail, shut down. Great save by Cognito there. AK-47 passed 3 on the counterattack. LBT back in front now. Another few chances passed, but none closer than Razgriz. Off the inside wall, just missing the flag tile here. LBT retains their lead. That would have been the cap of the week for about 4 minutes. AK-47 still good in tight places.
Oh my goodness, AK! Oh my goodness, AK! And he breaks the pole!
Land Before Timers claws one back, and the series stands 2-1 Balzania. Quick start for LBT on Jardim in game 4 before Balzania can catch their breath. Then a Balzania counter cap before LBT can catch their breath. So it's like nothing really happened when you think about it. But Razgriz makes something happen here 2 minutes later. He saw AK-47 working in tight spaces, said, hey, I can do that too, and makes the LBT OD look silly to retie the game. Speaking of Razgriz one-upping people, we mentioned Ballerina's 360-degree boat from last week. Here's a 450-degree one, although we'd like to see it maybe without the protection of 2 tag pros next time. From there it was all Balzania. 12 caps in this one, 4 boats, and then a 3-2 win in game 5 to clinch the series. Cognito hitting the century mark on returns this week that led A-Team, but Razgers led A-Team in caps with 9. That was enough to put Balzania into the Nuker Ball, and Balzania will face Preventure Time for the title. One last game to get to this week, and it was a fun one. What can you Dinos and Black Flag B-Team? Both took very opposite paths to get here. Dinos, the 2 seed, had a fairly comfortable sweep last week. Black Flag, the 5 seed, had to go the full 7 games to knock off Circle Triggers. We'll start this one in Game 2. Dinos already up 1 game thanks to a 3-1 win on Atomic, and by this series standards, that was a blowout. Check out this attempt by Dinos. The boost in, the bomb takes him on a perfect path into the flag, but the OD's there. That would have been incredible, especially at the B-Team level. Ed, off a regrab now. He's in and out of base, waiting for the returns to come, and they do! And he brings home the Dinos' first cap. Don't touch that dial because he got it rolling, and he comes in on his next grab with an undefused boost into base to double the lead. Black Flag, working their way back however. A cap from Ranger brought it to 2-1. Ranger has the flag again now, less than 3 minutes to play. He's rolling, and the Ghost Infinity defense goes to work, eventually shutting down the Dinos for the tying cap. A minute later, Black Flag really putting on the pressure. Infinity off the back wall, no, can't quite turn the corner. Harry Kane coming in hot off regrab. He's got a boost lane in, but it closes just in time. We're going to overtime. Early in overtime, Harry Kane drags out the chasers. Infinity grabs. Was that a questionable choice? Let's just watch him go to work here.
He's not out. He's not out.
No, he's out. He's out. Oh. No. Yeah. Oh, they can't hold both, he knows. Oh, he's not dead. He's not dead, kids. He's fucking sliding it in.
Incredible golden cap for Infinity, and the series is tied back up 1-1. Dinos broke through with 2 quick caps in Game 2, and they do the same here in Game 3. First, a Tag Pro clears out base, and it's an easy walk-in for Benoit Balls. He hustles back to regrab, and he's coming back in, same route, ticks the corner straight into the flag, sexy move for a second in a row. But Black Flag comes right back on the counter, Infinity doing just enough to create a lane for himself, a nice chip from Harry Kane to secure the cap 2-1 Dinos. Black Flag would tie the game later off a pup sweep, and we're going to go to overtime again. Less than a minute in, Ed gets the grab, past 3, the blocks are there, but the turning radius isn't. He can't quite put it in. We play on. Into the 4th minute now, Infinity uses a bomb defusal to burst quickly out of base, but straight into trouble. Benoit Balls is also out past 3, Graham Parsons has the tremendous anti, and the Dinos are back in front 2-1 in this series. Game 4, back to Tetwodzingo. Dinos looking to build on their momentum, and they do after the first round of pups. Turd blasts it in with a rolling bomb, and Turd blast may be some gross verbiage, but that cap was anything but. We continued to see an explosive turd a minute later, another rolling bomb, another great defuse, and another cap to put the Dinos up 2-0, exactly where they've been each of the last 2 games. But just like the last 2 games, Black Flag came back. They used a rolling bomb of their own to do it. Both FCs are rolling, but Ed gets returned first, and Ghost draws logistic map out and jukes past him to get the nub step without even getting defused. Dinos eventually get another one, so Black Flag down again 2. Infinity trying to bring another one back. Jukes around everyone, but the snipe comes in just in time. 30 seconds later, Black Flag swept pups, but no tag pros. The juke juices are helpful though. Harry Kane, known for scoring cap, going absolutely berserk on defense here. A couple of returns to allow Infinity to come in for the cap. Ghost on regrab, hustling back to base, still down 1. Off the back wall, and in for the cap. 2 caps in the final 30 seconds to tie it up for Black Flag, and we're going for the 3rd straight game into overtime. This one ended quickly, and it was again Infinity, very similar to his first golden cap. He's been absolutely untouchable in the extra period. So Black Flag ties the series back up, and it is now best of 3. Game 5, back to Atomic. Dinos have flipped a 3-1 deficit into a 4-3 lead with less than 2 minutes to play. Harry Kane cannot be stopped. Dribbles around everybody, ties the game. Would you like a 4th straight overtime? Of course you would. Infinity has been the hero twice before. Would he be the hero again in this extra period? Harry Kane is the flag this time, and he's sitting at the top of his base with no pressure whatsoever, 2 boosts to play with. That's a recipe for disaster. Ghost spawns, plays perfect anti, and black flag, previously down 2-1, now up 3-2, with a chance to take the series in Game 6. But they laid an egg on Zingo. Cap of the game here, courtesy of Logistic Map. Nice little juke to get out of base, then comes screaming into base with Ghost hot on his tail. Still manages to tuck it away, and we are going to a decisive Game 7. Black flag went to 7 games last week. They're used to this, but it's Dinos who strike first off the second pup round. Benoit Balls, sitting in the back of his base with a rolling bomb, diffuses it just as it's about to run out, strolls in for the cap. Dinos would build a 4-1 lead in this game. Black flag needs to pull something off quickly to extend their season. They turn, as they have so many times this series, to Infinity, whose name must describe about how long he can hold the flag. All 4 dinos in front of him, but they gradually split off for pups, and that'll give Infinity enough space to take advantage of the bomb and pull one back. Less than 2 minutes to play now. Black flag still needs 2. This time it's the captain who comes up good, gets the tag throw uncontested in his own base, and Ranger keeps it on defense and murders anybody who dares enter his base. Ghost brings home 1 cap. Harry Kane with the second tying cap 6 seconds later. How else could the series end but with 1 final overtime? So here's the situation. Game 7, golden cap. The first team to score in the extra period goes to the Booper Ball, and the other team goes home. Black flag have won 3 of the previous 4 overtimes, and you've got to think that they have the advantage here. Harry Kane tries to force something, flaccid. Infinity goes up to the boost, also flaccid. They try again, a third flaccid, before Dinos have even grabbed the flag. Ed finally gets that grab for Dinos, and he'll slip out past 3. Benoit Balls and Graham Parsons open the gates for him, and what can you Dinos are moving on to the Booper Ball. 146 returns for Graham Parsons. That's the most that we've seen in any series throughout the playoffs, A or B team. Ed bringing home 8 caps. That'll be enough to secure the victory for What Can You Dinos. But the real stats that you care about, 7 games, 5 overtimes. The series took more than 2 hours to complete start to finish. And the reward? A trip to the Booper Ball to try to stop Land Before Timers from winning a 3rd straight B team title. That's going to be a fun one. But it'll have to wait until Wednesday, because on Tuesday we have the other championship game, Pre-Venture Time and Balzania. Balzania looking to continue the upsets. They've already beaten 2 higher seeded teams in them to get this far. They face their toughest test yet against a Pre-Venture Time defense that has been locked down all season. And then of course on Wednesday we go to the Booper Ball with Land Before Timers looking for that 3-peat. What Can You Dinos to look good all playoffs. Unlike most teams, they've been rotating all season and they've been rotating all playoffs. 6 different players played in that win over Black Flag. They'll look for the Booper Ball title on Wednesday, and we'll have coverage of both championship games next week on NLTP PrimeTime. I'm Chris Bergman. We'll see you back here next week. Have a good night.